I want to start today with some rare good news when it comes to just the process of voting in the United States. We're waiting to see whether Democrats will be able to push forward the voting rights bill that Joe Biden has been talking about now intensely for the last week or so. But absent that, there are so many different ways in which Republicans are not even fighting the so-called battle of ideas, which they claim to prioritize, and instead fighting to win elections by subterfuge and deception and systems control rather than winning people's hearts and minds. So gerrymandering is one of these ways that Republicans have sought to and have benefited from manipulating the system. Reducing ballot boxes in minority neighborhoods, limiting voting hours, trying to stop mail-in ballots, mandating specific IDs, including IDs that require that while themselves may be free, require documents which, if you don't have them, are not free to obtain. Putting in place partisan actors to oversee the count or whatever the case may be. It's relentless. It's exhausting. And the first element of that I mentioned is gerrymandering. And we have, you've got to look at this big battle or this big war and the different battles within it. Within the battle around gerrymandering, we have a little bit of good news in one of those sub battles. And that news is that the Ohio Supreme Court has decided to throw into the trash the Republican gerrymandered maps and has given 10 days to fix it. The AP reporting, the Ohio Supreme Court declared Republican drawn legislative maps invalid Wednesday yesterday, agreeing with voting rights advocates that the lines were unconstitutionally gerrymandered. In a 4-3 ruling, the court sent the maps back to the Ohio Redistricting Commission to take another crack at complying with provisions of a 2015 state constitutional amendment, which requires there be an attempt at avoiding partisan favoritism. These maps in Ohio are so gerrymandered that there isn't even evidence that they tried to avoid partisan favoritism. Justices gave the panel 10 days and retained jurisdiction to review the handiwork. The dispute comes amid the process of redrawing legislative and congressional district maps that states must undertake once a decade to reflect changes from the U.S. Census. There's a bunch of interesting elements here, one of which is Republican Governor Mike DeWine, a member of the commission and whose son was among Wednesday's dissenting justices, pledged in a statement to work with my fellow redistricting commission members on revised maps. Think about that. Republican Mike DeWine is a member of the redistricting commission, and his son is one of the justices on the Supreme Court who said the maps are fine, that my dad was involved in drawing and writing. There are so many ways in which this is just absolutely insane. And you've got to fight these battles one by one. And this is the difficulty when they have so many ways. They talk about winning the battle of ideas. And the problem is they've lost the battle of ideas. When you look at the country and you say, do most people believe that the government has a basic duty to provide some health care to everybody, regardless of ability to pay? Very popular statement, not reflected in our elected officials, not reflected in the actions of our elected officials. When you say, well, what's the position on abortion nationally? Well, legal in most cases is the opinion of more people than ever before in the United States. Is that reflected in our elected officials? No. They're not winning people over in terms of hearts and minds and policy. They're winning with gerrymandering, making voting difficult for the people that they think would be to their advantage to make voting difficult for, all of the other things that I mentioned. And then when you even take the war and then you look at one battle gerrymandering and you look at that battle in one state, Ohio, you find, one of the guys who was involved in drawing these lines, which are crazy partisan, was Mike DeWine. And one of the justices on the Ohio Supreme Court deciding as to whether those lines are okay or not is the son of Mike DeWine. It's truly stunning that this is what's going on in this country, but it is. And so we've got to fight these battles one by one. The battle it's not even that it's been won yet in Ohio. There's the opportunity to win it by getting more fair maps drawn. They have 10 days to do it, now 9 since the decision was yesterday. We'll follow it and we'll let you know what happens. Even if, like me, you're not vegan and you're not vegetarian, eating a more plant-based diet is a really great thing to do for a number of different reasons. And our sponsor, Just Egg, is the delicious plant-based egg. You can use it anywhere you use traditional eggs because the taste and texture are identical, but Just Egg plant-based eggs have the same amount of protein as traditional eggs. I use it all the time at home. You can make fluffy scrambled eggs. You can make omelets. You can make quiche, frittata, crepes, fried rice. You should see my fried rice recipe. You can really use it anywhere in baking or anywhere you would use traditional eggs. When I first tried Just Egg, I was surprised that a plant-based egg could both taste and cook just like traditional eggs. You can get it at the grocery store, Instacart, Amazon. Go try it. Eating a more plant-based diet is a great decision. I do it, and I'm not vegan or vegetarian, and Just Egg makes it that much more easy and delicious.